karavavahai tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Verse 4 of Nectar of Instruction. Dadati pratigrinati guhyamaketi pričati bhunkte bujayate chaiva sadvidam priti lakshanam. Offering gifts in charity, accepting charitable gifts, revealing one's mind in confidence, inquiring confidentially, accepting prasada and offering prasada are the 6 symptoms of love shared by one devotee and another. So yesterday we spoke about this verse, and actually yesterday we were quite few persons here, but anyway, I asked you to read the purport and the verse and to find some practical moments that are really relevant for you and you can apply, and you are already applying in your life. So did you do anything about this? Yes, Prabhupada.
Something that is very relevant to me is the offering prasadam to devotees.
Okay.
It's something that because I myself like to accept prasadam, so I thought this is a good way to start. So
I can bring something.
Very practical.
So sometimes I, just feel like I should do something for the devotees. So then I just get mahaplate from the temple like that, invite some devotees home, we have some kirtan and share the prasadam. And there's always too much, so then we take it and distribute it to the guests outside. And it's just that. That's basically the only one of these 6. Well, I accept prasadam. That's the only thing I do, but it's very satisfying.
Feels great, huh?
Yeah.
There was this teacher training course some years back, and then the students, we were supposed to, what was this exercise? We were supposed to, you did it actually. We were supposed to give, everybody was supposed to give a talk. And then on particular subject matter, and then there was supposed to be this how do you call this, interactive
discussion.
Yeah, group discussion, brainstorming, this interactive ways of teaching. And then there was one devotee who was very clever, and he decided that, okay, my topic will be the 6 types of loving exchanges among devotees. And what he did, he actually did it. He brought gifts for everybody. And then he gave all these very nice gifts to all the students. And then this was actually the experimental learning exercise. So he did this, and then he asked them a question. So how did you feel about it? And was it nice? And then they actually had to grade him at the end. The students, they had to give him mark to the teacher. So you can imagine if they got all these nice gifts, the mark was.
That was what they gave him in return.
Hey, I didn't think about this actually. Yeah. So they got the gift and then they gave back good mark. It was really nice.
Everybody was happy.
Everybody was happy. Thank you for sharing this. Okay. Yes, Matish?
The life of the Krishna conscious society is nourished by these 6 types of loving exchange among the members. Therefore, people must be given a chance to associate with the devotees of ISKCON. Because simply by reciprocating in the 6 ways mentioned above, an ordinary man can fully revive his dormant Krishna consciousness. So, when the devotees have some trouble in the spiritual life, or they leave, it's not usually because of a philosophical,
Rarely.
disagreement like that. It's more they don't feel loved or accepted. So we can see how important it is. And if we want these 6 loving exchanges are what we should do, to make people feel like that. So it's really important. I really like giving gifts. Really like it. So even just a little thing that you do can change somebody, how they feel, and help them in their devotional life.
Yeah, very important. When you mentioned this, usually people leave because they don't feel appreciated. I just remember there was a story. One sannyasi was telling a story how in the beginning he had some troubles and he would come and go to the temple. He would leave for some time, he would come back. Then once he left the temple, he thought, I'm leaving, that's it. And then he heard when he went home, he heard that one of his friends in the temple, he said, I'm not, until he doesn't come back, I'm not going to take any food. I'm fasting. And then he had to come back. He let him fast for 3 days. And then on the 3rd day, he came back. So it is actually very difficult to leave the society of devotees if you have good friends there. For philosophical reasons, it is possible, but you have to be kind of very intellectual person and be very convinced. But if you have good friends, then it is hard to leave. There was another interesting story. I read a book years ago, and in this book there was some order of monks. They were kind of soldiers, and then they were giving very severe vows, and then they were following them and fighting at the same time. And then one of these guys, he decided that I had enough. I left. I want to leave. I want to live normal secular life. He left. Then his friends, there were like a group of them, 20, 30 of them. They followed him. The next day they understood that he escaped. So they followed him. They found him like 2 weeks later in some place. And then they confronted him and they told him, look, you belong to us. You gave your vows. We are your family. And you cannot just live like this. You have to come back. And then he came back not because they forced him, but they did something very clever. They bound him by the ropes of love and affection. And you cannot escape. This is the thing, one thing you cannot escape. You can fight coercion, you can fight back, but this type of relationships are very binding. And that's why, because we always try to get Kadamba Swami to Bulgaria, but he doesn't want because he has so many places to go. But recently he noticed that we're getting we're doing too much things for him. And now there's a danger that at one point he has to reciprocate. Again, the same principle of binding by service, actually, by doing service, selfless service. Very good point. Thank you. So, next one. Yes.
It's on the point of revealing one's mind in confidence and inquiring confidentially.
Yeah. Which page is this?
It doesn't say so much in the purport actually. It mentions the negative injunctions of this verse, that we should refrain from giving anything or accepting anything from the Mayavadis and atheists. But I find this very important and sometimes lacking principle in our devotional life, because we are all in the need of having intimate friends, and by revealing our minds and listening to others revealing their mind in confidentiality, we will see that we have something in common, even with people that we didn't think that we have any in common with, at least because we are seeing more on the level of the soul, that we are all having the same kind of problems and those things. So if we can perform that, it is, to me, it's a great inspiration. I feel oftentimes when I'm implying these principles, time just flies, and I can, talk for hours, and after I realize, whoa, so much time passed, So I really feel enlivened by these exchanges, and it gives me a lot of strength in Krishna consciousness, actually.
Confidentially revealing the mind and asking confidential questions.
I'm trying to help people. That's oftentimes the thing, that if we are engaged in our own activities, there can be a tendency, at least for myself, to not see other people's when they're struggling and those things. But if we're a little sensitive, then we notice those things, and by asking, okay, are you okay? And giving ourselves time to listen to the answers, and that helps a lot. And that when I'm struggling, if people they take that time, it gives me again strength to continue with more strength in my spiritual life.
Otherwise, the tendency is that we just do our service. In some temples, you have this very strong tendency. The service is 6 hours or 4 hours a day, and then you finish. As soon as you finish, you go back to your room, you lock yourself up, and then nobody sees you until the next morning for Mangalarti. That's it. And you have a long corridor of rooms, and the devotees stay there inside these rooms, locked up, and everybody's doing their own thing. But they don't associate much. And the mood sometimes is kind of gloomy, depressed. Yes?
Like Roma said about revealing the mind is that in a dark place, all things can grow like and rot and
Yeah.
become out of control and like fungus or something like that. Like in a dark place, so if you put light on something, then you can see it and grow out of control.
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about this point. What will happen? What happens if you say you have a problem, you have a doubt, and you don't share this doubt with others? You don't follow this item of loving exchanges with the devotees. You don't reveal, and you keep it for yourself. What happens then? Let's make a survey. It will grow.
Until you completely become absorbed in that only.
It will grow until you completely become absorbed in that, and then that means you basically stop doing what you do. Okay.
You lose control over it.
It becomes too
Because
strong.
When you associate and speak about doubts or problems, just by listening to yourself say it, you get some realizations of what the situation actually is. Someone else has the ability to see it without all the emotions connected to it. And can maybe
Give advice.
Yeah.
Yeah, they say sharing the problem, just speaking your problem is kind of half, 50%. You solve the problem just by having the strength to speak it out, to articulate it clearly. Okay, very good. Yes.
Another thing is that when you speak your problem, you realize that you and your problem are separate, you're speaking about it. Otherwise, you identify like this is everything. The problem is you identify with it very strongly.
Okay. So by speaking, by sharing, you separate yourself from the problem.
Yeah.
In other words, you separate yourself from your material mind or your polluted intelligence. Nice. Yes.
It's a very important topic because a few months ago, one devotee in France, she committed suicide. And the main reason was because she did not get her mind, or no one was able to...
Maybe she tried, but nobody was there to listen. It happens. We have cases like this. Okay?
I just would like to connect this to the previous verse where it's talking about Pandava, because there has been a tendency in some places to avoid these discussions, about problems, because it's seen as Pandava is totally unnecessary. And I would just like to say that
It is not.
removing doubt is
It's
not
not.
part of Pandava.
No, it's part of the process.
About
Yeah.
personal problems, it is connected to doubts and some personal problems in a person's life. It's not Pandava.
Yes.
I think in connection with what Morten says, that I have experienced that sometimes when devotees talk about problems, they're solving them, but sometimes they're actually making them bigger. So this is sometimes hard to distinguish actually which is which.
Self-indulgence and actually sharing, revealing your mind and asking for
Yeah,
help.
sometimes a problem is not really a problem if you just let it go, And if you keep bringing it up, then you actually create the problem. Obviously, if you really have a problem, then you need to share it. But
Yeah. We'll come back to this
Okay.
point a little later in our discussion, but it's relevant. Yes. In other words, you should not try to be just the center of attention, just bringing again and again this.
It depends on what you're Are you connecting to the problem or are you connecting to the solution? If you're talking about the problems, you should be ready to move forward towards the solution.
Yeah.
Actually.
Yeah. Okay, good point. Spiroj.
Inside what they're also saying, I find that in this topic of sharing the mind and asking help from the devotees, it takes a lot of borrowing what you have inside, your attention, your love for that person. And I was going to point out that when you do say something, your problem seems very normal. Many people have the same thing, so it just gets smaller in that second. You start with something unique. Then you just hear, so many people have had the same thing. But there's a system for solving them. And then that helps moving on.
Yes, I remember also reading years ago for first time Madhurya Kadambini, and there you can find the acharyas actually they describe so many of our problems that we think they're unique and they're unsolvable and they're so ugly, so grotesque that nobody else have them. But they're right there on the pages of this book described. So this also helps to see that we are not alone in this struggle, and there are many people, many devotees going through same challenges in life. So sharing, speaking out, this helps to realize this. Yes.
In this point, I think it's very important that we focus on education in our society, so that when we reveal our minds, then we don't just indulge in the problem, but we are actually given the tools on how to analyze the problems and can help the other person who's maybe emotionally involved and doesn't see the problem from an intelligent platform.
Okay.
So the person that is revealing the mind should be able to listen and then give some solution, like Klaus is saying, to how to solve it, and to explain how to solve the problem in such a way that the person will accept it as well.
And also I'll add that this confidential revealing the mind, it's not by chance that Srila Prabhupada uses this. Revealing one's mind in confidence and inquiring confidentially. 2 times. So first we have to find a proper person to reveal our mind. We shouldn't reveal our mind to everybody and anybody. We shouldn't just put this out on internet, for example. It doesn't work like this. And also, when we are on the other side, when someone approaches us and reveals his mind and his problems, then we should also be very careful not to be confidential with this, to keep it among ourselves. This will strengthen the faith and the relationship. Otherwise, what happens? Someone reveals your mind to you, and then next day you put this on internet and everybody knows about this. This will destroy the relationship. And the people won't share anymore, because they know, if I dare to admit that I have problems and I'm not perfect, which we are not, then everybody will know and they will criticize me. Like years ago, there was a lecture in Radhadesh. Excuse me, I have some. It's getting cold, I guess. So there was the example of Chaitanya Charitamrita. The story of Srivas Thakur. Someone, envious person, he put in his courtyard. He put this at night. He put this paraphernalia for worshipping Durga, and he was famous as great Vaishnava devotee. And now it turned out he is Durga worshipper. Then the next morning, Srivas Thakur, when he saw this, he said, "Just see what kind of devotee I am. I'm just a pretender." He took it in this way. He was so humble, a perfect example of devotee. But then the person who was giving the class, he said, "But if something like this happens in ISKCON, let's say someone points out, okay, you did this and this, and it's not true, like in the case of Srivas Thakur, this was not true, this was not the case. But if he reacts in this exemplary way, and he says, just see what kind of devotee, and then everybody else was, yeah, just see what kind of devotee, I just kick him out of the movement and do all these things, they throw him out of the community for 3 years or something like this." So this social dynamics we should be conscious about this. Yes.
And that again connects to education, because we are very much conditioned, as Maharaj says, to our Protestant Christian background. So either people, they are totally saintly, or they are sinners to go to hell forever.
Eternal condemnation.
Some people might see it as a social obligation to broadcast, people's defects, because then they will be able to properly associate with these, fallen people, and actually not associate with them. So if we have a proper education and people, they will understand our philosophy, really, then they will
culture.
feel like that, then they will know that even if you're having difficulties, it's just, temporary, and you are engaged in the process, and it will be removed soon. Especially if you're getting help and the support, protection and support.
Yeah. There was this story about in the same line of thought, about some, I think, Japanese or Korean company, big company, and then one of the workers there, he did something very wrong. First of all, he cheated his wife. With the money, which belonged to the company. So he did this twofold criminal activity, you can say. Then what happened? They understood this, and then the boss of the company, what they did, they called him and they explained to him, "We know everything what you did. Now, what we can do for you? The solution we offer is You work a little more for the next 10 years. You pay your debt back. So we won't go to the police with this. We just pay the money back and that's all. We'll cover this. We'll explain everything to your wife so she doesn't kick you out. And you can keep your family life. We already spoke with her, so she understands and it's okay. So, would you like to proceed like this? So they kept him inside the company. Exactly the same thing, what you say. Protection. And what was the other thing? Understand, support, yeah. And then people, if you treat them like this, the devotees will be very comfortable and they'll advance nicely. But if we just, okay, let's move to the other one, to the.
One more point, because
okay.
People they are having that kind of support and protection, they will also be willing to sacrifice their life for them. So it's very important, actually, not just for personal spiritual life, but for the whole.
Yeah, I was watching a video of one of the most successful companies at the moment. Forgot the name. And the CIO, he said that his realization is, if you have happy staff members, then in somehow or other, this will result in having many happy customers. So if you keep the devotees happy, protected, safe, then we'll preach very effectively. Okay, so what will happen if you because now we're discussing what will happen if we don't share. What will happen if we do? If we do find the proper person and we approach him confidentially and reveal our minds or doubts.
Because you see what needs to be changed.
We'll advance. Okay.
Then if we have somebody who we can reveal our minds confidentially, then both, if we have a problem, then by speaking about it to that person, we'll see that it's not such a big problem. And therefore we'll be able to do worse. And also, because we have that relationship with the person, we will have because of our affectionate relationship with them, we'll have the inspiration and the motivation to overcome the problem after seeing that it's not so big.
Okay.
My experience sometimes is that even though speaking about the problem to somebody can minimize the degree of the problem, but still, unless there is that concern that is shown by somebody else, it doesn't have to be the same person, but there should be somebody, then there's not much, it can still be difficult to overcome the problem because there's no motivation.
And you can feel this very clearly. You can feel
very clearly.
The person who is listening to you, is he really concerned about you or not? You can understand this, isn't it? Someone said that you can hide your hatred, but it's very difficult to hide your indifference. This is hard. People notice that if you're indifferent. Good point. Thank you. Yes.
And on the point Prabhu is making, it will also broaden our reasons for staying in the movement from, just we are in the movement because we feel obliged to Prabhupada and, philosophy and on a more, intellectual platform to bring it to an emotional platform because the exchanges are there. So even if we feel discouraged about management or something, the persons are still there and we feel connected to them. So for their sake, we'll be attracted to staying in the movement.
So that means you'll be more motivated to perform and to preach and to.
Exactly. And also on the whole point of protection, because protection means that all of our needs are taken care of. We need emotional exchanges. If we have a kind of impersonal approach as some places, then we will look elsewhere for those emotional exchanges and might turn to the comments or old friends or something, and that is a big problem actually.
Yeah, this one thing we should exchange this. We should have these loving exchanges inside the family of the devotees. We shouldn't do this with non-devotees. We mentioned this previous time. Okay.
But there's another thing that, like Guru was saying, then our reason for staying in the movement will not just be because
of duty.
Yeah, of duty, or because
you're supposed to
stay for other people. And when you're doing something for yourself, it can be easy to say, well, I don't want it, you know, it's not so important for me.
Exactly.
But if you're doing for somebody else, then if there's some affection reason there, then it's much easier to perform your duty.
If you work for yourself, you can work only up to certain standard of dedication and quality, because you can say, that's it, I don't need more. I like this preparation, and I cook this every day for me, and that's simple and it's nice. But if you cook for your spiritual master, then you go beyond this. Then you can give more. You can surrender more to someone else. Right. So as we mentioned, these 6 loving exchanges should be cultivated with the devotees, and they can be cultivated with Krishna also, directly, of course, through the medium of the spiritual master and the devotees. How do we do this? One sannyasi was giving class years ago, and then he mentioned that because he's fully dedicated to preaching and he's senior devotee, very advanced, and he said, at one point I noticed that I didn't bring anything to Krishna for a long, long time, because I was thinking, I'm giving my life to Krishna, so why should I bring a flower or fruit to Krishna? And then he said, but then I start thinking that I should do this. Sometimes I should just come to the temple and bring something to Krishna. Fruit, for example. And in our Sankirtan party, we had this tradition. After Sankirtan, we would pass by the fruit market, and then we'll buy fruits and then bring them to the deity. Because in this way, we cultivate a relationship with Krishna. You give him a gift. Actually, it is mentioned that we should give the best of our possessions to Krishna. We should offer whatever we have, the best to Krishna. What is most dear to us, we should offer to Krishna. And then Krishna will reciprocate. It's a very sweet relationship. So another thing we should be conscious is that this loving exchanges and confidential inquiring and revealing the mind, we are not advised to do this with the opposite sex. Or at least we should be very careful, and we should be conscious about the real situation, what is going on. The girl comes and she wants to get advice, and because there is a problem, and then you explain something, then she comes again because the problem was not solved, then you again explain, and then she comes again because the problem is not the problem. The problem is that the thing is that she needs affection and attention. And what happens is that gradually develops relationship, and then it can be problem for a married couple, for married people. It happens again and again. So it can be problem for the brahmacharis also. So just short note. I don't want to go in depth in this topic, but it's important to mention this. Yes.
But when you say it can be a problem for married people, you mean that one of the married people develops an affectionate relationship to somebody else?
Outside the marriage, yes. It happens again and again. Usually we talk that the brahmacharis and the sannyasis, they should be careful, and it is true, but it doesn't mean that the grihastha shouldn't be. the fact that you're grihasta doesn't mean that you're immune and Maya doesn't work on you. Everybody should be careful.
Just a short note on this, that in the tradition of Vedic society there was like two branches of the grihasta ashram. There was the women were associating amongst each other, and the men were associating amongst each other. And they wouldn't mix except for their spouse. So that was the thing, basically. Like they could give, help and stuff, but like you said, try not to expand it into affectionate demons.
Yeah.
But we don't have that kind of society, unfortunately, because of our conditioning to Western equality. But we should at least be aware of it.
Be conscious about this, yes. Alright. Thank you. We'll continue next time, Thursday, with verse number 5. Or if there is something more you want to share about this. Om Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Shila Prabhupada ki jai.